Welcome to the What is Fire Safety Engineering course by CJK Fire and Safety Education.
What is fire safety engineering? Fire safety engineering deals with the protection of life, property, and environment in regard to the physical effects of fire and the behavior of people in the event of a fire. Fire safety engineering is a university qualification. It is a relatively new profession and not particularly well understood. So, let's talk more about what fire safety engineering is in the real world. What does a fire safety engineer do? In Australia, buildings are designed and built to compliance with the National Construction Code, NCC. The NCC is made up of 3 volumes. The first 2 together are known as the Building Code of Australia, BCA. Every building must meet the performance requirements set out in the NCC. When a project or part of it cannot follow the prescriptive, or deemed to satisfy provisions of the BCA, a fire safety engineer may develop a performance solution. This approach demonstrates that the building still achieves compliance. Engineers use different methods, tools, and software to demonstrate that the existing or proposed design is capable of achieving an adequate level of safety in accordance with the BCA. It must be understood that fire safety engineering concentrates on the objectives of the BCA being life safety and the protection of adjoining property. Under normal circumstances, property protection is outside the scope. However, it can be included in the assessment if requested. A fire safety engineer can be generally expected to be able to interpret the BCA, understand the objectives of various requirements, while being creative and familiar with specialized tools and methods available. All reports produced need to comply with the industry standards and guidelines. Consulting services. The deliverables that are produced by fire engineers include fire engineering strategies, performance-based design briefs, fire engineering reports, and risk assessments. Where required, the engineer will consult with project stakeholders and other professionals including the fire brigade and building certifiers or surveyors, hydraulic and facade engineers. Fire safety engineering allows for special designs, unusual shapes or use of unique materials. The scope ranges from the refurbishments of heritage-listed buildings, to the construction of tunnels and tall buildings and even the materials chosen to fabricate an airplane. In addition, fire safety engineers can assist in achieving the architect or client's dream design, even though the concept may not comply with the deemed to satisfy provisions of the BCA and the Australian standards. Typical examples for fire engineering applications are omission of certain fire safety systems. For example, someone does not want to install fire hose reels. Reduced fire resistance level of building elements. Longer travel distances to exits. Close proximity to property boundary. Expert witness. A good fire safety engineer can provide expert witness services in building defects litigation matters, post-fire investigation and mediation. Expert witness engineers have solid experience and training in fire engineering and legislative role of a special expert. They are briefed by lawyers for confidentiality and privilege purposes and are gurus in their field of practice. Combustible cladding risk assessment. More recently, fire engineers are being engaged to assess risks associated with combustible cladding that has been installed on certain buildings and to offer risk mitigation methods. This requires great attention to detail, a holistic understanding of a building in question and good knowledge of performance of facade systems and materials. Fire safety engineering in post-construction. Fire safety engineering in post-construction. The input of a fire safety engineer can significantly reduce building costs, in particular, where building defects have been identified on existing structures. Enlisting the services of a fire safety engineer from the early stages of construction can also help avoid costly legal battles by ensuring compliance is maintained throughout the building process. Examples of fire safety defects are missing fire separation in roof spaces, non-compliant fire exits, use of combustible materials, unprotected service penetrations. Who may need a fire safety engineer? Fire safety engineers are engaged by architects, builders, building owners, strata managers, construction lawyers, developers, product manufacturers. Fire safety services can be applied to new construction projects, infrastructure projects, existing developments, product manufacturing and more. When is the best time to engage a fire safety engineer? Fire engineers need to work closely with other project stakeholders to understand the design and to be able to offer feasible solutions. Unfortunately, fire engineering is often seen as the discipline that is only required when issues in relation to fire safety need to be rectified. However, post-construction defects rectification through fire engineering is not always possible. Therefore, it is best to consult with a fire engineer at that early stages of a project. While the role of a fire safety engineer is still relatively new, it is a vital role to ensure compliance and avoid costly issues further down the track.
This course was brought to you by CJK Fire and Safety Education. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.